Welcome to the Portland Film Festival, presented for the fourth consecutive year by Comcast. We want to thank Comcast's team's tremendous support and commitment to independent filmmakers. Their ongoing support ensures that diverse voices are given a platform to share their unique perspectives on the world. We'd also like to thank Kerner Camera, Cleaner Path, SAG-AFTRA, Plumtree Mortgage, and Oregon Film. Find out more information or buy tickets online at pdxff.com. My name is Diane, and I am a volunteer with the Portland Film Festival. And I'm here today with Jo Anne Brechin, the director of Paper Champions. Welcome, Jo Anne.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. We're so chuffed that our little film is headed all the way over to Portland.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It is a fun film, very uplifting. It was nice. So what drew you to this project?
Oh, look, when Luke and Aaron, the producers, it sort of was their little baby, and then they both act in the film as well. When they reached out to me, I think it was just before Christmas in must have been 2019, and they'd seen my first film. They reached out to me and sent me the script, and I just instantly, I loved it. Like, it just leapt off the page. It was funny on the page. The dialogue was really witty. The characters were really heartfelt. And I guess for me, it was really interesting. You know, you mentioned before, like, diverse voices, and creating platforms where I thought it was unique in that it really spoke to sort of the vulnerability of being a man, and, you know, like what it is to have mana and be a man in 2020, you know, the complexities of that, which I think is really beautiful.
Yeah, that was definitely something different we don't often see in film. Now, this was a little different from what you normally see from Australian cinema. Do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, that was something that, when I came on board, that was already sort of really the ethos of the production. And I just, I sunk my teeth into it, in that, we really wanted to make a funny film that sort of celebrated, the quirkiness and the, like our flaws, that was heartfelt and wasn't sort of, wasn't like cliched Aussie comedy where everybody has like a really like twangy accent and, everybody's wrestling crocodiles, but like something that was, it was Aussie humor, but it was also kind of universal in its story. And also that we got to incorporate and work with so many brilliant actors from across the ditch over in New Zealand and a lot from the Pacific Islands. So yeah, just making something that felt really authentic and uplifting, which we hope is especially timely in this year of 2020. So good to make people smile.
Yes. You mentioned working with this diverse cast. You've got such a range between really established actors and people who are fairly inexperienced. What made you want to go that route?
Yeah, look, and that's something I think I have done consistently in all of my films, and it's an approach I love. I think when you pair, crazy experienced people like Gary Sweet, who's a bit of a legend of Aussie cinema, and Genevieve Morris, and John Toohey, who's done so many huge things, with first time or even, zero experience actors, I just think it elevates everybody, because your experienced cast really come to it as like a nurturing role to the others, and the others just get to respond and play from these big performances. So I actually think that the two complement each other really well. And I think, unfortunately, it was almost done out of necessity, in that like we don't see enough diverse, cast out there, and we kind of had to cast from alternate sources, which hopefully with films like this won't be the case for much longer. I think everybody in that film did such a brilliant job that they can now go out there and pitch themselves as actors in their own right, and keep building their portfolio.
True, definitely. I'd say Justin Kennedy was the standout for me. Jeffrey was so funny.
He's a genius, and I take zero credit for his incredible performances. He is so funny, and he's the kind of actor who you don't even notice on set. Like you couldn't even tell where he is at any point. You never hear him, you don't ever see him. and then you prepare for a scene. And the thing is, his character had no lines in the initial script. And so as an actor to come into that with no speaking parts, essentially, this really offbeat character. And honestly, we'd block through a scene. And at times it got to the point where I just put a box of, I just steal the continuity girl's box of pens and rulers and stuff and put it in front of him and just say, just play. I didn't even have direction for him. He'd just create magic with, little moments with like clicking the pen and the chips. That was all him. He was just brilliant.
So did you stay pretty true to the script by filming, or did you encourage that kind of improvisation with all the actors?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Well, look, I mean, there were some scenes that were, like very pivotal story beat scenes where we did really stick strongly. And I said, like, so much of the comedy was there in the script. But yeah, look, I'm a big one of like improvisation. And I, especially with so many of our like less experienced actors, I think I just wanted to give them freedom to play and to bring their own life experiences and their own sort of lens of the world to it. And again, moments like the football where they're all running and, she's like pushing them all out of the way, like that was all just improv. And, moments like that wouldn't, you kind of can't imagine when you're sitting in a room writing, they have to be kind of played and discovered on the day.
Yeah, that spontaneity came through. That was a beautiful scene that you just talked about. That was another one that made me laugh out loud.
It's actually a shame that we weren't running sound because we were in slow-mo, but the the voice, like what she's saying is hilarious, but we didn't have it. So we were tempted to ADR it, but the kind of music, the music held its own in the scene. But yeah, again, that was really one of her first times. She's actually an opera singer, and this was one of her first times, and she was hilarious. Yeah.
So did you have any challenges during the production?
Yeah, I mean, every production has its challenges. I think surprisingly, look, we shot down in Geelong out of Melbourne in regional Victoria. I don't know how we didn't encounter more weather issues. Melbourne is notorious for raining every day. So look, that was thankfully something we avoided. But look, always working within a restricted budget, a restricted schedule, having to, create so many things in such a small amount of time is always, a limitation. But really, I think what I probably would have been seen as a limitation is, I hadn't worked with any of these crew before, like ordinarily, I would pull on all of my favorite peoples that we have a language, and we've done this a million times. And, that probably should have been a hurdle. But really, I think it was wonderful. It was almost liberating in that there was no history, and there was, everything was created fresh, and we just gelled as a family so instantly. And now I did consider moving to Geelong just to be able to work with them all over again. Oh, wow. So like that was probably, when I jumped on board the project, that seemed like the biggest hurdle, and it was absolutely the biggest asset in the end.
Now, what, if anything, do you feel this film says about the world we live in?
Look, I mean, I think, I guess what we hope it says is, beyond just, what it is, what masculinity is, and, how to be a man in this modern world. Like, I think it is more universal than that. I think Ray really goes on this journey of feeling he's not enough. He's not enough for work satisfaction. He's not enough for his family. He's not enough to find love. And, he goes on this journey of trying on all these different hats of what it is to be a man, or what it is to be like a strong human, of, the football and the wrestlers. And he tries to absorb everybody else's strength. And really he kind of comes full circle just to realize that he's enough. Like he's perfectly enough as he is to have love and to have all of those things in life. So, hopefully that everybody can see a little bit of themselves in Ray, and that, you are enough.
There was this kind of endearing awkwardness that came through a lot of especially towards the beginning, a lot of the scenes, like, his mom and hooking up behind him on the couch, things like that. How did you create that sense? in the
Yeah, look, and that was something Luke and I really, we really played with in pre-production, in rehearsals. And look, kudos to Luke, because again, he didn't have a lot to work with. You know, Ray doesn't have that many lines. You know, Ray doesn't have these big starring, you know, one-liners. He's the awkward, reserved lead.
Mhm.
So look, we definitely surrounded him with huge characters and personalities, which, you know, helped him to bounce off. But really, I think it was also just finding the nuances of, like, you know, how Ray physically responds when he's in confrontation or when he's in a situation where he has to make a decision. And, you know, we had a lot of like nuances, like the blinking and things he do with his hands, or ways he, you know, sort of hold himself, and changing his posture, because Luke is a very tall, like, you know, strapping guy, and, you know, to sort of make himself look and feel smaller and more awkward. And yeah, like that was something we definitely experimented in pre.
Um, what was the casting process like?
Look, I mean, it's very unique in that I came on board after a lot of the casting had been done, which again was, you would have thought is a negative, but it was brilliant. And Luke and Erin had done such a brilliant job of casting, and they had a great casting agency down in Geelong. But look, the final few who we got to pick were great. Like, I went down there, we had a room, we held some auditions. And really, like, but at that level, it was more like talking to Gary Sweet and, you know, Karen Fairfax, who you're like, you don't say no to them. You just like beg them to come on board. So, you know, it was a mixture of, you know, having just conversations, and I guess in a sense, proving our vision and proving what, you know, what they could add to the film and what we could bring for them. And then, you know, with some of our less experienced actors, it was again just about getting people in the room and playing. Like, we sort of tried to avoid having people alone in a room. Like, we really tried to bring in groups so that they could really shine and bounce off each other and never feel like that was that spotlight on them, which I think is sometimes important for less experienced actors, you know, that you're not feeling like you have to dance, you know. So yeah, we tried to again make that really like collaborative and playful and keep that process light.
Excuse my dog. um, sorry about that. Now, this is such an interesting time to be dealing with making films and distributing films with most of the planet in quarantine. How are you handling distribution? Well, yeah, distribution and just getting your film out there with COVID.
Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, really, we finished the film, maybe it was back in March, and it just sort of sat, because it was right at the time that everything hit, and it just sort of sat in the drawer, which was so disappointing after you sort of poured a year and a half into it. But look, thankfully, I mean, it's been film festivals that have been the saving grace. You know, no one's able to go to the cinema, so the cinemas don't want anything. And it's been film festivals that have really just allowed films like ours to launch in this time, where, you know, people are taking film festivals online where people can't come out and, you know, be there in person. Like Melbourne International Film Festival, they took it all online this year. And in a way, it's allowing more people to see the film earlier, because it's normally not way down the path of distribution that something goes online. But now through film festivals, you know, people all over the world can access it, you know, rather than having to do the cinema release and then, you know, maybe go to VOD and then release online. So in a roundabout way, I hope more and more people are actually able to access it. But look, it has been tough, and I guess it's just all about innovation and finding people who connect with it and who can help get it out there.
About coming to Portland. Now, what do you hope that viewers will take away from the film?
Yeah, I mean, I guess sort of like, as we were touching before, like, I guess, you know, just, you know, the humanity of it. You don't have to sort of try to be anybody else other than yourself, you know, and that, you know, I don't know, I guess we all have times in our lives where we feel stuck, like Ray is, you know, he's in a down and out job. He doesn't fit in with his family. He's got like the encroaching, you know, stepfather coming in. You know, and I guess just, you know, that universal thing of finding love and finding yourself. So yeah, hopefully everybody finds a little bit in there for themselves.
Now, what's next for you?
Oh, so I've been busy, as you can see on my crazy office walls. Yeah, developing a few projects. Quarantine has been a great time for development, and to sort of just, close the doors and really dig deep and get creative. So I'm writing a couple of features at the moment and a TV series, which is quasi autobiographical. Yeah, so. Um, yeah, so look, there's lots in the works at the moment, and it is sort of an exciting time. I know at least here in Australia, everybody's really just deep in development. So hopefully once this passes, the doors will open up and everybody will be coming out with these brilliant projects that we can start making.
So we should keep our eyes to Australia for some
Yeah.
brilliant filmmaking. I look forward to that. So that's everything I have. Is there anything else that you think the viewers should know?
Oh no, look, I mean, just always a shout out to our amazing cast and crew. I thank you for chatting to me, but honestly, it takes a village, and, we just had so many amazing creative minds, and just everybody was so generous with their time and their creativity that, a film like this or any film isn't possible without, that many people coming together and, being passionate about making something for the sake of making something. So yeah. And thank you guys so much for having us. Because again, without you guys, we don't get to show anybody.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming out and being willing to talk with us. It's and interrupting the middle of your day on a Saturday to deal with our time zone differences. We really appreciate it. And thank you, viewers, for watching the film and supporting independent voices. Please remember to virtually vote after the screening, and also visit our virtual festival lobby to connect with filmmakers, attendees, and more at pdxff.com. Thank you so much.